All right. Good morning. I guess it could be afternoon since it's a video. I don't know when you're watching this. I'm guessing if you're here, you've heard about my program to sell on the listing side a house for $5,495. And to do that, I'm going to hope that there's three things that you can satisfy as far as criteria. One is you're in the 618 area in Southern Illinois, because I am licensed in Southern Illinois. You have a house that's over $200,000 and you're looking to sell. So even if you're just kicking tires and looking at real estate agents, I think I have a call to action that is really something that can help save you quite a bit of money. And I'll dive into that and how I ended up here, and hopefully how it can help you. This presentation then will go into all of these things listed on the screen, but I also want to talk about the end story, right? We have all of these videos and they build up to this great product, and here's the price at the very end. I'm going to tell you up front, I'm selling houses on the listing side on the commission for $5,495. That's where we're at. Now I'm going to give you some background and why that matters and how we can make that work, and how you can even save some on the buyer side. And to do that, I want to talk about my products, which are a better way to sell. I want to talk about the power of and. I'll have a little presentation, part of this presentation on that, how you're going to hold more equity. And then we need a detailed discussions about commissions, because that's always on people's minds when it comes to selling their house. And so we need to understand how that breaks down, and what I do for those commissions, and what you do to save some on that commission. So we're going to work as a team to sell that property. I want to go through the services. I am not a discount broker at all. As a matter of fact, I think that I do things that are beyond other brokerages, and that's because of a technology company called Wildfire that I own, and I'll go into some details there. And this offer is for houses up to $1 million. If you're over $1 million, we'll get into the price is $74.95, but I'm not going to go into that. There's not a lot of $1 million homes in Southern Illinois, but if you're in that category, we definitely want to talk as well. So let me dig in a little bit. When I'm talking to sellers, the biggest concerns are, and these aren't really in any order, but we always want to make sure that we have the price set correctly. So if I have a $300,000 house and I set it up to sell at $250,000, well, it's going to sell really fast. We're probably going to get a lot of people, but we left money on the table. And of course, if I have that same $300,000 house and we listed at $400,000, we could sit there for a long time. So part of my job then is to make sure we set that right. We want to look at the market, and I love data. So we'll talk about how we get that right number, and then we'll manage it and watch it. More importantly, I think what happens is there's, and I'm probably in that same category, right? When I go to sell something, I want to hold as much of my money as I can. So when that discussion comes down to commissions, how can I work more for you for less? And I have some systems to make that work. So we'll talk about commissions. The other thing that happens, I'm not going to deal too much in this presentation, but if I'm selling my house, one of my concerns is where am I going to go? And if I don't have that figured out, and I look through the listings online, sometimes I simply don't find what I want. I have a program called Perfect Home Finder that will help you find that home, even if it's not on the market. So if that's a problem that you have, let's talk about it. But this video isn't about that. And then overall, I just want to acknowledge that selling a house is very stressful, because we're talking about picking up everything you have and moving out, and there's a lot of paperwork. And if you're buying another house, you're doing the same thing over there. There's mortgage lenders asking you for papers, and there's title, and so there's a lot that goes on. So I really want to emphasize that we will try to manage that. It is a roller coaster in some cases, but I don't want a roller coaster that goes like this. Let's try and smooth that out. And I think, again, by saving you some money, that will help that process. So let's let me give a little background on myself. I didn't want to start the whole presentation with that, but let me just give you a background and how I ended up here and why I think that can benefit you. I'm an SIU grad, right? I was a grad a couple times over in the area, and worked in Silicon Valley for quite some time, and then started a little tech company in the area called Wildfire. And one of the good moves that we made at Wildfire was I picked up the domains edwardsville.com, collinsville.com, granitecity.com. We even have domains over on the Missouri side. And I've turned those into these really nice portals that help local businesses and also help real estate clients. So I have that, and then I ended up in 2000. It was kind of interesting. It was 2005, 2006. I wrote an MLS, and I offered that to real estate agents in the area and said, "Pay us, Wildfire, $25 a month, and we will put all of your houses out here on the internet." And I swear nobody took us up on it. It was the conversation I had over and over and over. Why would somebody go to the internet to find houses? Well, here we are today. And as we go into 2024, where do you start your search? It's all on the internet. So having that tech background, having those domains is really helping my clients. But I ended up getting my managing broker license, and I'm with Worth Clark Realty. And so those two technologies let me scale some things nicely. As a matter of fact, when we started developing software, we were writing really big software at Wildfire. That software now and the way we develop it today is much cheaper, right? So we saw the scaling down in price. Product got better, things were happening, and it didn't happen in real estate, right? We're all still paying the same commissions, and I think there's a better mousetrap. So anyway, if you need to reach me, there's all my information. I'm at 618-531-4000. Send me a text, make a phone call. My email is sykes@wildfire.net. All right, let's get back to what's going on here. So this is why I can pull this all together. I am really a believer in the power of and over R. And so the or, I'm showing my Midwest accent, right? The R. Anyway, so remember the old, oh gosh, what's an example? Like the K cars, right? We were told you could either have an inexpensive car or you could have an expensive car with really great quality. So it was always that battle. Do you want a cheap car that could fall apart in a year, or do you want the high end? And then we had a little company called Toyota come in. And when Toyota came in, we had both. Suddenly we had a car that wasn't breaking. It got 200, 300,000 miles. It was priced aggressively. And so that and gave them a huge chunk of the market. And so when I look at what we're doing here, it's the exact same thing, because we've been told in the real estate, and it was true in the fact that we had to pay this commission so that I could sell my house. And if you wanted this extra quality service, big name brand, whatever that meant, you had to pay significantly for that. And if you just wanted a little discount thing, a sign in the yard, then you could get by cheap, right? But you didn't have anyone working for you. And I think the time has come that you can get both. All right. So leading into that, then let's talk about the real estate commission. So and we'll use a general 6%. And you've heard that back probably for a long time. So I'm going to sell my house for 6%. There's really two parts to that. The first is the seller side. So let's say that I have your listing and I listed at 6%. 3% of that is going to go to my brokerage, and that's going to pay my side, and it's going to pay for the marketing and signs and all of the things that we do on the seller side. The buyer side then, so maybe another agent comes in, they are going to get 3%. So when we work examples, we're talking about a 6% commission overall. And the way those split, those are negotiable, and we can talk about that, how that's all built. For the most part, you're going to see something in that range. So we've already talked about, I'm going to sell your house on the listing side for $5,495. So let's take a real simple example. And of course, the larger the house, the more you save. But if we're looking in the area, a $300,000 house is pretty common right now. So if I take a $300,000 house, your listing side commission, is going to be $9,000. 3%, $9,000. If I list that house, market that house, sell that house for you, your total commission is going to be $5,495, right? I'm not making more because you have a nicer house and you have granite countertops and you have a 3-car garage. I'm going to sell that because I have a really good model. The back end of my city page is called Wildfire Central. And I've worked on this for years, but I have a model that I know how much time it's going to take. I know how much energy it's going to take, and I can sell that house for you for that $54.95. So in this case, if you have a $300,000 house, you're going to save $3,505. That's real money that goes into your pocket. As we move up the price and that ladder, if you look at a $400,000 house, you're going to save $6,500. If you have a $500,000 house, $9,500. You kind of see how that works. And if we had a $900,000 house, which there are several of those around in the area, and they're not uncommon. I've sold many. You are not going to pay $27,000. You're going to pay the $54.95, and that will save you $21,505. Okay, that's real money. That's in your pocket, and that is the fee. Now, remember, this is one side of the equation. So let's jump over to the buyer commission. So it's really the same thing. We have I want to say 2,000 agents in the area. And when a house goes up, hopefully they're doing the research for their buyers and they want to come in and they want to buy that house. So traditionally, we as the listing side, we offer a buyer's agent commission so that we can get them to come in and put an offer on our house and buy it. So in this case, we have that same $300,000 house. We're going to put a buyer side commission for 3%, and there's another $9,000. So think about this right now. We're at a $300,000 house, and you're going to spend $18,000 to move that house. Okay, I have two things on this side that I think can help as well. Number one, we need to look at the price of your house. We can negotiate that. So I know we have the option to go even down to zero. Like, I'm not going to pay a buyer's agent anything. I don't know what that's going to do as far as marketing your house. I still think we should have something over there, but we'll negotiate that piece of it. The other thing that I have, and I've got one around here, this is, so at Worth Clark, we have a FSBO option, and this is unique because what this tells you is if you find the buyer while we have this listed, and there's some rules on this. We still have to have some Worth Clark. We have to have a sign in your yard and some things for state compliance. But if you find the buyer, then I can reduce that price because we're not having to pay a buyer's agent. And so there's still some things that I have to do on my side, but I will reduce the buyer side down to that same $5,495. So this happens, and it doesn't happen all the time, but it's happened in the past. We put your house up for sale, or somebody puts your house up for sale, and 2 days later, somebody knocks on your door and goes, "Oh, I really wanted to buy your house. I didn't know you were going to sell it," because they live next door and they want to buy it for their son or their daughter. Well, you basically found the buyer in that case, but because of the commission structure, you're still going to pay that $9,000. In this case, and we've got some rules on how it works. It's a one-page document. It's not really that complicated. But if you find that and you know that you'll be in charge of showing them the house, right? You'll still have the responsibility for that because I'm not really representing them. And we can go into the details, but you could knock down that side as well. So instead of $18,000, right, you're right at $54.95 by 2, right? So we're at $10,000, $11,000. So you're saving real money. As we move into those higher prices, of course, you're going to save more. If you have any questions on how commission works, give me a call. I mean, my degrees are in math, comp sci. I love numbers. I love data. And we can put a model together that and show how that works. I'm very comfortable with how that can save you some money. All right. So I go back to the and so in this case, I am a full service brokerage. Worth Clark is a great company. We have offices all over the nation now. We are not franchised, and I carry my managing broker's license because I want to understand this whole thing. I'm just kind of that way. So your house is going to go into the MLS just like normal. It's going to go to all of the Realtors and Zillows and the normal websites as expected. It'll go even into the big name brand website. So anyone that pulls the MLS data will have your information. That's actually why I got into this in the first place. I wanted that MLS data to take into Edwardsville.com and Collinsville.com and all of my domains. So the advantage that I can add, and I know no other agent can do this, is when you are listing with me, I'm going to put you on the front page of all of those real estate sites. So when I go into the real estate section of Edwardsville.com, my listings are shown first. Just like when you go into eBay or Amazon, those first products are always highlighted. My listings will always be there. It'll be on everything from Columbia down south all the way up to Godfrey in the north. And then I have a really cool site called Everything 618. So you will be on the front page of that real estate area as well. I don't just put a sign in your yard. I have some cool signs because people go to my domains, but you'll also get physical postcard campaigns. We're going to canvas the area. So there's two ways we can do that. I don't want to give all my secrets. I'm sure there's other agents going to watch this, but we're definitely going to do a campaign, and I've got two methods. We'll talk to you because you're going to help with that marketing strategy. And then we'll do an online marketing blitz, and there's 2 or 3 things there. Of course, we'll do a Facebook campaign. I spend a ton of money every month in Facebook, so your ads will be rolling into that. And we'll get a pretty good picture on how fast people are coming in to look at your houses. I will do one open house, and that usually just kind of depends on the timing of when we list. Again, that's up to you. You don't have to have an open house, but it could catch somebody that's just at the right moment. The other thing is if you want a copy of my book on selling, shoot me a text. I'll mail one to you. There's no problem with that. On photos, we'll come in. It'll be professional photography, so great pictures. We'll edit those. Again, that's kind of my background, right? I worked for a 3D graphics company, so we'll have some really nice photos there. This does not include staging, and I don't think most agents include staging. That is something that you could buy extra, and the staging could be anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000. That's something we need to discuss. So I'm always a fan of, if we're listing a house, I either want the house to be completely empty, like new construction, or I'd like it to be staged. It's in the middle that it gets a little clunky, but we'll talk about that. And there's even some services that I can recommend where people might come in and say, here's what we want to do, and kind of declutter, and it's kind of a semi-stage. But again, that gets more into the actual presentation. But main point is, this is a full service sale. I'm not cutting any corners. I think I'm adding more, which goes back to that power of and. All right. So we talked about setting your price and commissions and finding your next home. I know this is stressful stuff. So if you are thinking about selling, and even if it's 2 or 3 months and you want to talk about it, I sold a couple houses last year in the Edwardsville area and in Collinsville and the 618. And we planned for 2 or 3 months before we went live. So if you're on a fast track and you want to do something, we can take it at your speed. But if you'd like to put a plan together, if it's an estate sale, you somehow ended up with mom and dad's house, I'd love to talk to you about that and how we can make that work for you. If you just don't know where you're going yet, I'll help you find your next house. But that's my pitch. And again, I say it's a pitch, but it's really just something I've worked on for years. When I wrote that first MLS in 2005, I knew that there's a way to scale this down to make it more affordable, and I think this is the play. So that's the last slide. I get this all the time. Are you really selling it for that commission at $54.95? I am. And one of the things I learned at technology is I will be copied. And I know when my software is copied, when things are copied, I just have to innovate faster than they can copy. So having those domains at edwardsville.com and some of those prime domains, nobody can capture those. So that will be your turf, and we'll get your house listed out there. So if you need to reach me, my name's George Sykes. Like I said, I've owned Wildfire Internet for years. I've been a managing broker, since 2008, 2009. And I think this model might work for you. So 618-531-4000. Send me an email. I'd prefer a call or a text. And I really look forward to talking to you. Thanks for taking the time. If you made it to the end of this video, kudos to you. Give me a call. We'll go have a coffee. And look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.